what's been the thing that stood out to you the most today?
What stood out to me the most today was I was thinking about when we did our testimonies, how our testimonies are ever growing, forever growing, because our relationship with God is ever growing. And it was just interesting to me because I hadn't really sat down and thought about my testimony since like the last leader thing. And I think it's important to sit down and think about where God has taken you in the last couple months and things like that.
For me, it was definitely Paul's presentation about hospitality, especially like the second mile, going above and beyond. Like, I feel like with my huddle back at Logan Home, I need to get a lot more personal because I feel like I know most of the people, but I need to actually like interact with them, talk with them, make sure they're coming back, make sure they're like gaining something from our meetings.
Our testimony, it's not about you, it's about God, and not making it about yourself, but realizing that everyone has their own story. And it was so cool listening to everyone else's story too. And I just love that message that you gave about it's not about you, and showing what God has done in your life and portraying that to other people is so important in what we're here to do. So I like to do that today.
I feel like I have gained so much information and knowledge that I can take back like to them. So like I feel like our school is very divided, and I feel like this leadership camp kind of talks about like bringing people together and like talking to other people. And like I've kind of been nervous about talking to other people. Like I'm always like, oh, they should come up to me first. And after hearing like his testimony, I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna go back to my team and I'm gonna find people and I'm gonna start talking to people I don't even know and make new friends. And I feel like sharing the word will be so much better now.
Seeing people my age in a Christian setting with Christian people around me is a lot different. At my school, I go to Zane Trace, and it's like, say 400 kids in the whole high school. And we were talking about it earlier, like how many people from each school would you think are like living for the faith? I thought to myself, and I could count 5. So it is crazy, and it's such a small setting. There's like 30 people here that like I can pretty much guarantee that all 30 are living for Christ. And it's so awesome to see.
Mine was probably how he was talking about like, you know, the part of like hospitality, like eye contact, smiling, whatever, and how that all comes from confidence and having confidence in yourself. And we have confidence because God created us and He loves us and He sent Jesus to die for us.
Mine was definitely, making connections with people.
Yeah.
Like, you have to form that bond. You can't just say, hey, and walk away, because then it's nothing. Actually forming that bond, it creates such a deeper connection that I think is really cool.
Mine was probably that like being hospitable. Is that like you can't just do like say hi to them, welcome them, and like walk away. Like you have to go this full second mile. That's what it is. And then you like keep like working on them, like stay with them.
Yes, he does love
Mine, like I had mentioned earlier, that like just being able to come back and like having that spark with everybody, just like being able to kind of have like a reunion almost of everybody, like from past retreats, and like the spark has never died out. We can still pick up where we left off with our friends and like-minded people.
My biggest takeaway is that having relationships with people that love Jesus is super important, and it can be super life-giving to have relationships with those people. And it's just a reminder that you need to continue to work on your relationship, because you need people to make you better to work on your relationship with Jesus. So it's just like, I feel like I'm not used to having people in my life that love Jesus, and so it's just really refreshing to meet a bunch of new people that do.
I would say that your story's never over. Like, even after like sharing your testimony and everything, you kind of feel like you have to have an ending to it all, and I feel like that's never true. God's always working in your life, so it's okay to not have answers to every single question that is still present in your life. And even after you pass away, your walk with God still continues in heaven. So, you know, your story is never over, and it never will be.
My biggest takeaway is probably that that we shouldn't be the center of our story, that God's the center of our story, and that whenever we're saying our testimony, we shouldn't be basing it off what we think we did, but really base it off what God did in our lives.
Well, I've said it many times to you, but I think my biggest takeaway would be just being more intentional in my time with God, because I feel like being labeled a leader I feel like I have an obligation to go and pursue the Lord. And so it's so easy for me to go through the motions. Like that happens to me in sports too. I show up to practice 2 times a week. I'm like, okay, I'm here, I got to do what I need to do, and then I'm out. But in reality, my relationship with God is not something to go through the motions with. It should be, I wake up every morning and I'm grateful for the breath that I'm given, and I use that to glorify Him, not to glorify me because of the position I'm in. So I think just taking a step back, and I was talking to Luke last night and he said just be still. You don't have to try to do everything for God, just be still. So
God is more than on the surface. He's deep in everybody's lives. And you know, like that part about everyone having a story, I think that really hit me deep in the heart, you know, because we really don't see it that way. You might like talk to somebody you don't know, and you don't know if like you're making their day, like, because they might have like lost their grandpa that day or the week before. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, you can do something so simple, yet it could be so complex. Somebody.
Learning how to make people know you care. Like being hospitable and showing them that you care what they're going through and about how they feel.
Yeah, good.
For me, I'm going with same thing as Luke, the hospitality of it. It really got me reflecting on our FCA, especially because I'm a senior. This is our first year doing it at our school. How can we bring more people in and make ourselves more hospitable to others and spreading the word?
I'd say my biggest takeaway is the importance of hospitality in the school and as an FCA leader, and making sure that everyone feels welcome, and not only when they walk in the door, but when they leave, that we'll still be there for them even if we're not in the same room, and talking about Jesus together. Like, they can always reach out and talk about anything.
My biggest takeaway is that God has called us to not be perfect, but just a vessel, and to just share and show Him and just be authentic to other people. And yeah.
My biggest takeaway from today was definitely that there's a line between being nice and being hospitable. There's a difference between saying, hi, how are you, I'm good, you know, and being just very personable and engaging. Coach Lindner actually was a big reason that I kind of locked in my faith with coming in motivation. It was because he actually came and specifically said, I missed you today, come back, I want you, and that was just something that really resonated with me, so that's what I want to continue to do.
One of ours, when we were talking in our groups with our leader, we were talking about how we should be more hospitable and like kind of accept more people into our FCA group and invite more people and be confident in our faith, and I think that was very helpful.
Yes, be more intentional, and confidence is a gift from God.
My biggest takeaway from today is that I know that I'm not alone. God is with me through every step of my life, and He's there through everything, every battle, every loss, every victory. And I have all these people with me to get through it. And just God has my heart, He has my life, and He knows my plan. So there's nothing that I have to worry about.
My biggest takeaway from today was that you can find connections and people that you might not even know through their testimonies, through like my testimony. You find connections through each testimony to find more of a deeper connection, and you find out that connection is just God's power through everything. I did notice that we all have different routes to God, but it all leads to the same destination, and that's the kingdom of heaven.